Thank you.
I'm not prepared to speak.
It's
but
all good. Thank you for coming up.
I'm being allowed to finally after 28 years, so I'm going to speak. And
I love it.
speak as long as Mike McCorkle, so kick me out when I'm done.
Here you go.
3 minutes. I want to start with, there's another fee, and I believe it's $3,007 we pay biannually for our new tag limited entry for crabbing.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, we were extremely disappointed with the limits put on ourselves by ourselves and requesting that. And I feel it could be, and this is very much hearsay, by generations wanting to shut out others. It hurt us because we have more costs involved in the tags, and we have to keep track of the tags and all this crazy stuff that nobody's monitoring. I don't know who goes out there and checks all our tags, you know, at the top of the buoys. But it cost us a lot of money, and it allowed us to do better and add pots because we were hard workers and we had great poundage. But it shut out a lot of other people, and it's hurt a lot of other people, and it's hurt the little guy. 4 years ago, we were able to get out of our 1950s wood boat and build a brand new boat. But we have loans all over the place. I don't even want to take out another loan. I haven't taken a salary in months. It's the first time I haven't worked that extra job in years, 4 years, to raise 3 kids and all and get the benefits and all. So our benefits are costing a bunch because my brother and husband and I are corporate officers, and they don't give us any discount. We just pay the max. Thankfully, California has a wonderful program through the Cover California for businesses, because on the market, and I look at this every single year and I do great research on it, it's killing us. It's over $3,000 a month for premiums for 4 of us. And we have a good insurance, but when I was on catastrophic plan, it was costing the employees more than they could pay, and we had to lend them money to pay their medical if they just went for an emergency one time. So now we're getting our medical care, but we're paying for it. I don't mind that. I really don't. I'm just letting you know all our woes about that. I want to get back to this because I want to let you know the other 2 things that were important to me. The Monterey Bay Sanctuary said they'd never heard us. They got us in on helping them become who they are. And once they got their way, now we're like the bad guys. And I would say every fishery we are in is sustainable in this country, because we wouldn't be allowed to fish it otherwise. And there's other countries that it's not sustainable. And I can do math easy enough to know $20 billion is not coming from our California fisheries, whether they're aquaculture or straight out of the wild. I want to put in a whole bunch of kudos for GSI and hope that you understand it and you promote it and you work it, because I got a job doing GSI in addition to my regular job. It allowed me to meet people up and down the coast. It was a #1 first time in 20 years of me staying out of it, because it made me so angry politically, and too many long letters and too much nothing getting done, and we're always the bad guys. I got to tell you, when I met my husband, I was only an environmentalist. I also fished, but I was Greenpeace, the animals, everything else. But you know, it's not something where we're bad. I was taught to fish by a fisherman 40 years in a skiff on the bay in Monterey. He never overfished. He got his couple buckets, sold and went home. You can only do so much. You're a person. You know, I mean, you talk about factory trollers. Now, they might be overfishing. I don't know where they fished. I don't know who they are. I don't know who owns them, but they don't work them. You know, and I'm getting loud, and I'm sorry about that.
You're not getting loud. You have
But the thing about, so I think I covered everything. I really do. I really believe in GSI. I believe that it's the only way to get real-time management going on and to see the full picture. Real-time management, I really feel like the lady that spoke with very pregnant, so we'll remember her that way. I'm sorry not to know her name. She said something really important to me. The reason why you can only see 3 days in advance on our warm chart is because we, to this date in technology, I've gone back to school and I'm doing general science and stuff, but we can only predict the weather in 3 days. We don't have any more technology to know that. But she pointed out a really great point. If we're picking up the stuff the crab are eating off the ground and testing that as super duper high, it's likely the crab need to be tested as well. But if it's so expensive to test the crab, maybe we should be testing what they're eating to keep track of that and have a better advanced warning, because we did use up our reserves thinking we're opening. We did not expect this. We did get about a week's notice. And then we're like this, oh my God, you gotta be joking. It's not the fishermen who wanna shut us down to keep those guys out of here and those guys out of here. You know, it's not an illegal vote in the parking lot in the rain with us raising our hands and we're shamed if we're against whatever everybody else wants or whoever's in charge wants, or it's been a really hard time. I have a college grad, and she is fishing now, and she wants to see it get better.
No, you're great, by the way. Thank you. And I really appreciate you coming up here, one, coming to the Capitol, and then number two, sharing your thoughts, your opinions, and frankly, the struggle, right?
And I'd like to put it all together for you, because I do
Okay.
paperwork, and I have the numbers, and I can show you.
And I also took a note, again, on permit fees. So that is something that we'll be following up.
Every other year, there's another one that's huge, way more than all of our fees put together.
No, absolutely.
And then when I started, it's $50 to get a license, it's 134. They're going up every year. We're not getting that much.
Thank you.
Little guys, there's a lot of little guys hurting, and they just got in, and we want them.
Absolutely.
They need to be there.
Thank you.
I lost a lot of guys who aren't here today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, and thank you so much for being here and for hanging with us.
Hello, Vivian Hellowell. Thanks, Mike and Tom, and the rest of the committee who may see this later. I got a number of things on my mind today.
Please.
Just wanted to try to bring up some things that I didn't hear mentioned. Well, Dave Bitts mentioned the Delta, and I see from reading that in 2014, the Delta ecosystem was in danger of collapsing. The Delta smelt, the splitails, the threadfin shad, and so on. And now 2 years later, I see that they're only finding a few of them. And so apparently that ecosystem has collapsed. I don't see what we're doing about that. And the agencies that we delegate to try to take care of these resources for us. And of course, we help and encourage them wherever we can. I'm not sure what we're doing about the Delta ecosystem there. And I know we've had a drought and not enough water to go down there and saltwater intrusion. Maybe there are things we can do, and I don't know what to suggest for you. The Delta tunnels, I didn't hear that mentioned today. And if we have, people are having a hard time, truly. It looks to me like the tunnels are bigger, the proposed twin tunnels, they're bigger than the amount of water that could ever be available for them. And certainly we can't afford to lose more water from the north. And I see that those decisions have been taken out of the public's ability to comment on or to influence, that those plans seem to be going ahead without public approval. So I wanted to mention that. And then what are we going to do about all these brain-damaged sea lions running around? Just joking. They're in enough trouble.
I was going to mention, actually, the Marine Mammal Center has taken in over 1,000 this year.
I'm sorry they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
Thing is, they're enough trouble when they're not brain damaged. It's not really funny, but it is.
You had a sea lion shut down Highway 37, as we
Oh, yeah, he might
one
have
in
been
Trinidad.
confused,
downtown.
right?
Yep.
So, we certainly want to take whatever measures we can to protect the wildlife and the people from these poisons. Maybe there's something we can do to counteract it.
Right.
I don't know. That's all I have for you right now.
No, thank you very much. And on the issue of the Delta tunnels, I will share my bias. We are adamantly against the Delta Tunnel project as it takes water from Northern California. And since it's Southern California, we believe that it needs to be subject to CEQA. And there is an ongoing fight on that, but I think we got that into the budget language last year, which is
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Oh, one more detail, and that is, timber jobs are still shutting down where we are as well, and that adds quite a burden to our community as well. And the conflict between, the private lands that have been logged thoroughly, and the desire to continue for those also skilled people to want to keep working, and the desire of the fishermen and the water board to protect those watersheds for fish. Absolutely. So, that's leading to additional conflict, like timber companies suing the water board for delaying their timber project in order to protect water quality. So more to come on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the button as well. So that was great last night.
I'm a salmon patriot.
Hey, hot dang. Watch out. Thank you very much. And thank you for being here. Hey, thank you so much for hanging with us and your patience today.
Thank you for having me. I wasn't going to talk today, but just after a couple of things I heard, I wanted to just say my words. My name is Brand Little. In 2004, my wife and I bought our first commercial boat. I was actually a director of operations for the Associated Press. Left that to follow my dream to be a commercial fisherman. Financed it 100% on high interest rate credit cards. But we made it. We made it. We got it paid back. It was a death trap of a boat. As you can imagine, you can't get a lot on a credit card. In 2007, we had actually saved enough money to upgrade a commercial boat. And we put it all on the line again to buy a better boat for salmon in 2007. There was no season in 2008, 2009, 2010. When it rebounded, during all this going on, we actually started a small seafood company where we took our catches from other boats, everything we could get our hands on, and started marketing at our local local farmers market in the foothills of California. We continued to grow that through the closure, just whatever food from the contacts that we made in the industry, other fishermen and stuff, started selling. And we become one of the biggest retailers in the Foothill region, doing Truckee, Placerville, Tahoe City, Auburn, Sacramento, all over the place.
Proud of that?
What's that? We are very proud of it, very, very proud of it. It's actually afforded us a lot of opportunities and got us through really tough times when some of our colleagues that just fished couldn't make it. So it was challenging, but we made it through. It was great. Actually did really well to the point that in late 2015, we saw the collapsing salmon stuff going on, and being a commercial fishing family, we had to diversify. So we once again gambled with everything we had and bought a commercial crab boat. 2015. So you can imagine where we might be. I just wanted to bring all this up because one of the things I heard today was for the future of this industry, not necessarily what's going on in the ocean, but the people that are actually providing the seafood. It's tough. I got into it at 30. I'm 42 now. I'm relatively young when it comes to commercial fishermen. Good friends with Don Marshall, who's a running partner of mine, who's also young. There's not a lot of reason for guys to get in this industry anymore. The old timers will tell you to stay out. It's harder and harder and harder, and we've had to diversify and be creative on how we make it, but we have made it. It's just, I think it's really important that you guys do look at the future. Who's gonna provide this seafood, because it's just almost impossible to make it work. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was disaster relief. In the 2007 situation, and I know we're putting the cart before the horse here, but there were a lot of guys that were just invested into the industry for salmon that had no history of landings, and that didn't get any kind of relief aside from a small, I think it was $5,000 at the time for having a salmon permit. The justification was, you haven't landed any salmon, therefore we don't have a dollar value to provide to you or use in a calculation. Those guys needed it the most. Those are the guys that just invested everything they had. There is approximately 25 guys that I know of that are in that same boat for crab this year, where there is no history of them catching anything, but they've literally invested their life savings, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to get into this industry. And I want to make sure that we think about those guys when we're figuring stuff out.
I think you're absolutely right. And going to the conversation that we had with Director Bonham earlier of really taking a look at the layers, right? There's so many stories like yours of folks putting everything on the line, tremendous sacrifice to be able to make the living, right? Yeah. And leveraging everything they have. And I think we need to be able to take that into account, and that's something that we are going to be working with the department on. Right. That's a wonderful point. Right.
And the last point I want to make is, you know, I understand it's out of this committee's hands as far as the appropriation of the money, if there is any money to even be had, but I want to talk about the speed in which that money is acquired and distributed. I know you've heard from everybody and how important and bills and bills and bills. The one thing that I don't think I've heard personally, and I don't attend every meeting, but there's something that the folks in Washington that everybody needs to know. This is an extremely dangerous job, And the only ways we have to make money is go out and harvest the ocean. We're desperate folks in desperate times, and when given the opportunity, whether it's crab, black cod, salmon, or what have you, better judgment is going to be thrown out the window. We're in desperate times, and desperation calls for desperate measures. And you will have folks untying boats and going out into the ocean because they're going to lose their house or they can't feed their family. And there will be lives lost. It happens every year. And the more desperate people get, they don't have the choice not to go. They need that harvest to pay their bills. So it's something that not only needs to be done, but needs to be done quickly.
Thank you. I'm really glad you took the time to speak, and thank you again for hanging with us. Invite anyone else that would like to come speak, please. Thank you so much for attending, and grateful that you stuck with us.
Okay. I'm Dan Bacher. I'm editor of the Fish Sniffer magazine, and I write for a lot of other publications. And just a couple points I wanted to bring up. I really enjoyed your comments about the Delta tunnels and also Vivian's, but there is a bill in the legislature right now sponsored by Susan Eggman Talamantes and Senator Lois Woke that would require a public vote on the tunnels. So there at least is a opportunity to support legislation that would force a public vote on this big boondoggle of a project. The second thing is I wanted to know if you were going to reintroduce the bill regarding the offshore drilling this year.
That is an item that we're currently discussing. In fact, had a meeting about it this morning.
Yeah, because that was really a good bill. I know the oil industry defeated it, or at least got it shelved like it did every bill it didn't like, or amended them, as in the case of SB 350. But that would be great if you could sponsor that again, because that's a long overdue loophole in the bill or in state law that needs to be removed. That was what, SB 788?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Right, you're good.
Yes.
Hey,
Thanks.
so much. No, I'm really grateful, and thank you again for sticking with us. Anyone else like to come speak? We welcome you. Please. Thank you so much for hanging with us.
Couldn't help myself either. My name's Gary Burke, been fishing for 40 years.
What's going on, Gary?
We've been hearing about losing fishing to domoic acid, the blob. We're losing, in my opinion, fishing to foreign countries. And the reason we're doing that is politics. I'm in the swordfish business, as well as others. And NOAA said it's underutilized. We need to catch more of it. We're governed under the Magnuson-Stevens Act, Protected Species Act. We jumped through all the hoops. We look good. We're still losing our grounds to politics. And my only statement to you is we are losing fisheries. We're under political scrutiny all the time. And it's because of politics, not science. When you guys get laws or somebody comes to you, I just ask that you look at the constituents who fish and the representatives of the fisheries also on both sides before you make your decision. I see there's a lack of that for the last 20 years. Nobody comes to us, and yet a decision's made, and we hear it at the last minute, and nobody comes talk to us. So I'm just in the future. Otherwise, everything's going to be imports. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you for pointing that out as well. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Anyone else? All right. How you doing?
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
David Hellowell. I have the fishing vessel Corregidor. It's been delivering fish into the coast of California since 1942. And all I really had to say was we had an official from the SBA organization that spoke to us at PCFFA yesterday, and he said, yes, those loans can be used to pay off, or the disaster relief, if it comes, can be used to pay off those loans. Thanks very much for coming.
No, that's a really important point and clarification, so thank you very much. It's good to know. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do not ever want to stifle communication. I'll do a last call. Anyone else like to come forward? We're going to bring it on back here to the committee, what I'd like to be able to do, if it works for folks, is do a real quick recap about our follow-up items, making sure that we're all on the same page leaving here. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for being with us today. Fisheries and aquaculture is at times undervalued here in the state of California. And I want to take a moment to say thank you for all of your incredible work and focus. Obviously, you're focused on industry, but you're also focused on protecting the environment. And we want to say how grateful we are for your advocacy, and we look forward to partnering with you in the months and years to come. There are some follow-up items and goals that we're going to be focused on here this year. Obviously, our top priority is the Dungeness crab disaster, and I know that there's going to be some discussion here in the next couple of days as Fish and Game Commission has also been dealing on the recreational side. We're going to be following up with Fish and Wildlife on permit fees. That is an area that we can control without federal interference. In addition, I think it's really important that we advance funding for domoic acid study. We need to be able to base our decisions off of science and data, and we look forward to working with all of you on that, and obviously the good folks at Fish and Wildlife and Public Health. We are going to be advancing whale entanglement and crab gear retrieval legislation this year, and that is being brought forward, again, proactively by the industry, and we're really grateful for that, and that is going to be an area where we're all going to be focused. We're going to be tracking 2016 salmon runs. As we know, it's going to be a dire year, quite frankly, and we need to be working together in the months to come, also to ensure that we don't make the same mistakes that we did last year. And what I'm hoping is that with some additional water, we'll have some additional resources to be able to work with. We're going to be putting a working group together relating to a potential crab and shellfish commission here in California. That is far from a done deal. This issue came up through the Dungeness crab disaster, and I want to make sure that we don't step on it the next time this hits, and we actually have resources. And I think that's the only way to be able to advance it, as we've tried every opportunity to be able to look at state funding, and it will take about 12 years to be able to get $10. So we need to be, I'm exaggerating here, but we're going to need to be able to get out in front of it and working with industry. We're going to be hosting the first aquaculture hearing that we've had in years, coming up in April or May, which will be focused obviously on regulatory and permitting. And I think that a theme that came up today is the issue of who's the next generation of fishermen in California? And how do we attract those to this industry? I think that's going to be really important. I'm going to finish with this. Again, thank you for being here. Many of you travel far and wide, and we are so appreciative of that. We're appreciative of your hard work and your advocacy. I want to say thank you to the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They have a lot of crap going on right now, if I could be really candid, and I appreciate their hard work when it comes to the issue of Dungeness crab. They have been really solid in this, and particularly our director. I want to say thank you, and again, thank you to the governor as well. We want to be a proactive partner with you. If you have challenges, please communicate with us, and vice versa. If there are fishery issues that come forward, either myself or Tom or another committee member will be working with you, and we want to be able to use you as a reference, and you have a lot of knowledge that we want to be able to turn to, and vice versa. If there are regulatory, legislative issues that you need assistance with, we encourage you to please come work with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Take a cookie on the way out, drive home safe, and we'll be getting back to you for our aquaculture hearing in April and May. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.